My name is Aloan Grace, and this is how I learned that love can look like safety even while it's building your destruction. When I met Nathan Cole, I wasn't looking for anything. I had just moved into a small apartment in downtown Chicago, filling my life with work, coffee, and quiet. He walked into the agency one Thursday morning, tall, confident, with a voice that made ordinary words sound like promises. "Are you the artist behind these?" he asked, pointing at my display boards. I nodded. "They're brilliant," he said, smiling. "I'd love to take you to dinner and hear how you dream." I laughed nervously. His charm felt warm, not forced. It had been years since anyone looked at me that way. Dinner became a habit. He told me he'd moved from Boston for work, that he was starting over. He asked about my childhood, my goals, my fears, listening in a way that made the world blur. He said he lived alone in a condo still half unpacked. I believed him. When he called, I picked up before the first ring. When he touched my hand, my heart forgot what caution meant. He'd text me, "You calm my chaos, Aloan." I should have wondered why his chaos always returned after 9 p.m. 2 months passed before I noticed the small cracks. He never let me visit his condo, he always came to mine. He never stayed the whole night. When I asked why, he laughed. "I'm still fixing plumbing issues, trust me, you don't want to be there." He gave me a spare key to my apartment, not his. I told myself that meant commitment. When I asked about his family, he said his parents were gone and he was an only child. His eyes softened in a practiced sorrow that fooled me completely. One Friday, he told me he had to fly back to Boston for client meetings. We kissed goodbye at the airport, and he promised to call before bed. That night, I waited. Midnight passed. The phone stayed silent. The next day, nothing. I told myself flights get delayed. But by the third night, anxiety hummed louder than hope. I called. It rang once, then a woman's voice answered, confused. "Hello? I'm looking for Nathan Cole," I said. A pause. Then children's laughter in the background, small voices calling Dad. "I'm his wife," she said. "Who is this?" The world tilted. My heart didn't break, it collapsed. I hung up. My hands shook so badly I dropped the phone. Tears blurred the room. Everything replayed, the dinners, the confessions, the way he said "You're my peace." Peace. I sat on the kitchen floor until dawn, surrounded by silence heavy enough to crush me. When he finally texted, "Miss you already," I stared at the screen until the words lost shape. For the first time, I didn't reply. The next week he showed up at my office carrying flowers. "You look upset, sweetheart. Did something happen?" I stared at him. "How's Boston?" He smiled nervously. "Busy, as always." "How's your wife?" I asked. The color drained from his face. "Aloan." "Don't," I said. "Just don't." Everyone in the lobby turned as I walked out. He followed, whispering excuses. "We're separated. It's complicated. I didn't mean to hurt you. You buried me in lies," I said quietly. "But someday, you'll watch me grow out of them." For weeks, I moved like a ghost. Work, home, silence. Food tasted like paper. Mariah, my best friend, tried to reach me. "You can't heal by pretending you're fine," she said. I nodded but didn't speak. Nights were the worst, hearing echoes of his laughter in rooms he never truly entered. I wrote letters I never sent. One said, "You could have told me the truth." I would have respected honesty more than love built on deceit. One evening, I decided to confront pain with action. I cleaned my apartment, threw away everything he'd touched, mugs, shirts, toothbrush. I scrubbed until my fingers ached. When the room was finally spotless, I realized the silence felt different, not empty, just mine again. I called Mariah. "I'm done crying," I said. She laughed through the phone. Then let's rebuild you, piece by piece. Rebuilding started small. Morning jogs. Therapy every Thursday. Journaling 3 things I was grateful for, even if some days the only thing was breathing. At work, I poured myself into projects, winning 2 new clients. My boss noticed. "You've got a fire lately," he said. He didn't know that fire was made from ashes. Still, every now and then I'd catch my phone lighting up with Nathan's name. I never answered, but I read the previews. "Please. Talk to me. I'm sorry." He wasn't sorry for the lie, only for being caught. Months passed. I began to laugh again. I started painting, something I'd abandoned years ago. Colors became therapy. Then one morning, scrolling social media, my chest tightened. There he was, Nathan Cole, smiling beside his wife and 4 children, holding a glass trophy. The caption read, "Honoring our city's most ethical business leaders." Ethical. The word stabbed deeper than betrayal. That's when I realized this wasn't over. Not for revenge, but for truth. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. Ethical leader. The words looped through my head like a cruel joke. He wasn't just lying to me, he was using that image to rise higher, to charm the world just like he'd charmed me. I closed my laptop, but the anger didn't fade. It settled into something steadier, purpose. I didn't want to ruin him. I wanted to reclaim myself. I wanted the truth to exist, even if it lived quietly. That night, I opened a new canvas and painted a woman standing in rain, her reflection cracked but her face unbroken. I titled it Resilience. When I finished the painting, I took a photo and uploaded it online. I didn't expect much, maybe a few likes. But within days, it spread. People commented, "This feels like my story." Someone messaged, "Thank you for painting what I can't say." Their words healed something in me. My pain wasn't just mine anymore, it had become connection. Mariah said, "You realize you're turning heartbreak into art, right?" I smiled. Maybe that's the only way to win without fighting. Weeks later, Mariah sent me a link. "You need to see this." Nathan's company had been nominated for a Civic Integrity Award. My stomach twisted. His smile beamed from the headline like a mask. "Maybe this is your moment," she said. I shook my head. "I'm not going to smear him. That's not who I want to be." She nodded slowly. "Then show them who you are." Those words stuck. That night, I started designing a small exhibition, Healing After Betrayal, featuring my art and anonymous stories from women who'd been deceived. Organizing the show gave me energy I hadn't felt in months. I worked long nights printing, framing, and reaching out to galleries. Most ignored me, but one curator replied, "Your message feels necessary." We scheduled the opening for late spring. The night before, I stood alone in the gallery, surrounded by paintings, heartbreaks blooming into strength, lies turning into light. My chest filled with a quiet pride. For the first time, I didn't feel like Nathan's victim. I felt like my own miracle. The exhibition opened on a warm Friday evening. People filled the room, women, men, couples. I watched strangers stare at my work and whisper. One painting caught everyone's attention, a woman standing in a garden, flowers growing through scars on her skin. I named it Bloom Anyway. As I explained the piece to a small crowd, someone stepped closer behind me. "It's beautiful," a deep voice said. I turned. It was Nathan. For a moment, I froze. He looked thinner, older, but his eyes still carried that same persuasive softness. "Eloan," he said, almost pleading. "I saw your name on the invite list. I had to come." I forced a calm breath. "This event isn't about you." "I know," he said. "But seeing your work, it's incredible. You turned pain into power." I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. Just distance. Yes, I said. And you were the lesson. He winced. I lost everything. I met his eyes. No, Nathan. You lost someone who would have loved you honestly. Then I turned away. He left quietly after that, and I didn't look back. When the show ended, the gallery owner hugged me. You have no idea what you've started, she said. People are already asking for more. Over the next weeks, requests came in, podcasts, articles, women's groups. My inbox overflowed with stories. Some heartbreaking, some hopeful. One message stood out: you gave me courage to leave my own Nathan. That line made me cry, not from sadness, but gratitude. As the months passed, the art project grew into a movement. Mariah and I co-founded a small foundation called Bloom House. We offered workshops for women recovering from emotional deceit and betrayal. I poured everything into it, every scar, every tear, every lesson. I stopped thinking about Nathan. I didn't need to forgive him to be free. Freedom was simply living a life he could never reach. One afternoon, while setting up for a Bloom House event, I saw a familiar face walk in. It was Caroline Cole, Nathan's wife. My breath caught. She approached me gently. You're alone, aren't you? I nodded, uncertain. She smiled sadly. I've wanted to meet you. I read your article. I didn't know how deep his lies went. You helped me see what I refused to see. I blinked back tears. I'm sorry you had to live through that. She shook her head. Don't be. You helped me leave it. We sat for hours, two women bound by betrayal yet freed by truth. She told me she had filed for divorce months ago and moved with her children to start fresh. They're doing okay, she said softly. Kids are resilient. Before leaving, she handed me an envelope. It's a donation for Bloom House. Consider it from all the women who thought they were alone. I hugged her. You're not alone anymore. As she walked away, I realized something. Closure doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes it walks in quietly, holding your hand instead of a weapon. Bloom House gained national attention. Our message spread: you can't control who betrays you, but you can choose how you rise. I started speaking at conferences, sharing my story under one rule: I never said Nathan's name. He didn't deserve the fame. A journalist once asked, if he watched you now, what would you say? I smiled. Nothing. The view from my piece is too beautiful to look back. One fall afternoon, I was walking out of the studio when I saw Nathan again. He was sitting on a bench, looking lost, staring at his phone. He stood up when he saw me. Eloan, he said quietly. I'm not here to bother you. I just wanted to tell you. I'm sorry. I nodded, polite but firm. I hope you mean that. I do, he said. You deserved better. I've been in therapy. Trying to be better for my kids. I believed him, not because he deserved it, but because I'd finally learned that forgiveness isn't approval. It's release. Good, I said softly. Be the man they can trust. That's the only apology that matters. After that day, I didn't see him again. I didn't need to. I moved to a new apartment filled with sunlight and plants. My paintings covered the walls, proof of what pain can build when it's repurposed. Mariah came over one evening, wine in hand. You've changed, she said. I hope so, I smiled. I traded tears for purpose. She raised her glass. To growth after grief. We laughed, clinking glasses as golden light filled the room. The next year, Bloom House opened its first physical center. The ribbon-cutting ceremony drew reporters, community leaders, and survivors. I gave a short speech. This place was built from heartbreak, but it stands for rebirth. When life buries you, remember you're not broken soil. You're the seed waiting for sun. Applause filled the room, and tears filled my eyes. After the event, a young woman hugged me tightly. "I thought my story ended," she said, "but you showed me it's just beginning." I whispered back, "Exactly." That night, I stood on my balcony overlooking the city lights. I thought of everything, the lies, the pain, the art, the healing. Nathan had once said I calmed his chaos. Maybe I did. But he also taught me that calm built on lies always collapses. Now, my peace came from truth, from knowing I grew back stronger. I picked up my journal and wrote. He said he was single, but his wife and 4 kids answered my call. That call didn't break me. It replanted me. I smiled through tears as I closed the notebook. And that's how I learned that some heartbreaks don't end your story, they begin it. Because sometimes, the person who betrays you doesn't bury you. They plant you. And if you water yourself with truth, one day, you'll bloom where they thought you'd never rise. Seedling. When lies try to bury you, don't dig down. Grow upward. Healing quietly is the loudest revenge of all.